What's up, everybody? Thanks for tuning in today on Cameron's Outdoor Academy. Today we're going to be talking about an age-old question. What is the best bobber to use? So, I went out to my tackle box and I grabbed some of these. This big old feller. Some really old, dirty bobbers. Some small bobbers. And some even smaller bobbers. I mean, we're gonna go in detail today. All right, number one, what is a bobber and what is it for? So, bobbers are used to attach to your line to keep your bait in the water column, off the bottom. Now, another thing that a bobber is used for is to be able to identify when a fish is on your line. Certain bobbers work different ways. Now, throughout this video, you may hear me being called bobber, striking indicators, and these are here called foam peg floats. There's a lot of different words that they use to identify these things, but they're all corks. That's what traditionally you'd take a bottle cork and slice it, put your line in it, and that's what you used. Now today it's all gotten pretty sophisticated. Everybody's got its own little twist on it. But this is what we're talking about. Now, which one is better? Start with this one. This is a very large bobber. It has a wire in the middle of it. If you can see here, you mash the button, you put your line in. Button's on top here. This is going to take up a lot of surface area, hold a lot of weight. However, this bobber will make a lot of noise when it hits the top of the water. All of these round bobbers like this, they all have their purposes, but I don't use them. The reason is because when I fish, I would want as little bit of noise and water disruption as possible. Now, we're going to talk a little bit more about those in a minute. Let's go to, y'all are finna see me open this pack of bobbers for the first time. My favorite. Now, why do I like this bobber? The reason I like it is because it's small. When I'm brim fishing, I want to put enough weight on this thing to raise it up in the water. That way, it doesn't take very much weight, and it doesn't take up a lot of surface area, so when the fish hits it, it's under and ready, and you know you have a fish. With these type of bobbers here, it takes up more surface area, it takes more weight to pull it under. Therefore, when you're fishing for crappie, speckled perch, when you're fishing for fish like that, or that can come up and be very sensitive on the minnow or whatever you're fishing with these bobbers, it's very hard to tell when you're getting a strike. Bobbers like these are much, much more sensitive. Since this one doesn't have as much surface area, it goes under much better. Now, this is a more of a traditional style bobber. Of course, this bobber is an old bobber. It's seen its better days. To be honest with you, most of these that I find are on the side of the creeks, on the side of the rivers, on the side of ponds, that they've come off and folks has lost them because I do not buy these. But the way this one works is you have a spring here, and and that catches your line right there. Now, this isn't terrible. This still makes a lot of noise when it hits the water because if you could imagine, it slaps, and it slaps the water. I don't really use these. In a pinch, I will, because you can put weight on them, and again, they'll have minimum surface area, so they pull under quickly, but not my idea bobber. Another one that I use is a slit bobber. What I like about these is because you can be fishing bottom. Say, you know what, I want to change up. With these, you can do the same thing, but again, remember, these causes a lot of disruption on the water. So, now, never mind how dirty this bobber is, because this thing was on the side of the creek. But you see that slit right there in that bobber? What that's for is you can slide your line in it, put your pegs in, lock it down, and now you can adjust however much you want, or you can take it off and not have to worry about it. So, which bobber is best? From best to worst, let's say small fish, brim, panfish, crappie, speckled perch. Small fish that you want to see a really active bite. And it don't mean you can't catch big fish on these bobbers. It's all it's going to do is hold your line up. But these are more sensitive. This one here is a little step up. If I'm brim fishing and I'm going to use this bobber, not normally. This is more for your live bait fishing for bass, fishing for catfish, and using your heavier weight, because this bobber does take up more surface area. Therefore, it stay up with more weight under it. This bobber here, what you're going to use this bobber for is for fishing with live bait such as shiners, larger fish. That way you don't have to worry about them pulling your bobber under or your cork under. So this category, yes. Now, like I said, I do not fish with these types of bobbers. The reason is, and I'm going to say it again, they disrupt water. They are too much, they're not sensitive enough, so you can't hardly tell when the fish bite. Also, to me, when I'm fishing with a bobber, I want that sucker to be as sensitive as possible. I want that fish to be able to touch it and that bobber move. These, they do not show up as well in the water column when I'm on top of the water when I'm fishing. I can't see these as well because they have a lower profile. I can take these right here, on the other hand, put a little bit extra weight on them, and now I've got a bobber sticking up that high up out of the water, versus you put a bit of weight on this one and you've got that much or that much. And also, these things will get water in them. They'll sink. So, it's a little rundown on that type of bobber. Now, for my fly fishermen out there, let's get into another can of worms. Fly fishing indicators. Man, these things right here are off the chain. I love fishing these under a nymph. Now, most of you know that you do not have to use a bobber per se. You can take your fly floatant and put it in some like Fly-Agra or your fly floatant, and you take a piece of fabric to do that. You can take what I also do sometimes is I'll take a popper fly or like a brim fly, and I'll tie a piece of tippet down about 12 to 18 inches from it, and I run my nymphs under the dry fly, which is a dry dropper. So, but hey guys, I appreciate you for tuning in tonight. I know this was a short, down and dirty video. Which bobber is better? These cigar bobbers. These are going to help you catch more fish. They're going to help you have more sensitive bites, and it's going to cause less disruption in the water. These are the bobbers I use, and that's why. Thank y'all for tuning in. God bless y'all, and you know how it is. The good Lord will, and the creek don't rise. I'll see y'all in the next one.